called Generic Wrestling Questions. Those of you that have seen my interviews before know that's where I'll ask Brian his favorite match, favorite pay-per-view card, favorite wrestler's entrance team, favorite tag team, and favorite wrestler. Basically, the questions I assume Brian might be asked on social media or in his YouTube comments. So now he'll have a place to be like, go watch Tom. I've answered this sort of thing. So
Yeah,
what's your
so
favorite
I'll
match
narrow
of
it
all
down right
time?
here. Ooh, favorite match of all time, man. Straight wrestling match, I would say Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar at Mania 19. That's like one of
Mm-hmm.
my faves. I was there for that live, and that was pretty spectacular. I think like recently, my favorite match of all time, the one that really blew me away, and I would talk about it for months afterward, was the first Stadium Stampede match
Oh, wow.
because yeah, it was just a great way to like work around pandemic stuff. I think the pandemic, as shitty as it was for all of us, it definitely made wrestling companies get creative and have to think
Yeah,
outside of the box and how to tell stories and how to have matches. So the Stadium Stampede, I think, was like one of the biggest things to come from that. So yeah, those are probably my two favorite matches off the top of my head.
question regarding the Brock Lesnar match. What is your thoughts on the shooting star press?
I wish he hit it. I wish it connected because I remember being aware that Brock could do a shooting star press. And then like after he hit that second F5, and then like I could tell he was even before he looked to the corner, I knew, oh man, I wonder if he's gonna do shooting star press. And then he was gonna do it. And so it's like, had he connected the shooting star press, I think we'd all
Hmm.
have a very different opinion about it would be a very different story about it. But the fact they were able to keep going and go on with the planned finish of Brock winning and Brock not dying, I think was adds to the legend of that matchup for me.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite overall pay-per-view card?
Oh man, that is so
You can
hard.
say one you worked on, by the way.
Well, I will say, as far as recent cards, go check out Combat Clash PDX on Prestige Wrestling's YouTube channel because that's a pretty damn solid card. Because that one's got the Motor City Machine Guns imploding. It's Alex Shelley versus Chris Sabin. There was Roderick Strong versus Timothy Thatcher. You had Athena wrestling Masha Slamovich in a surgical boot and was still able to wrestle.
Oh, wow.
Um, you had this great 6-man all-star scramble match with some of like the brightest up and coming independent talent. We had Drexel and Danhausen. And the main event was pretty epic too. Alan Angels versus Evil Uno for the prestige title, and many more matches. So for modern cards, check that one out. As far as like my other favorite like all-time cards, I go back to Mania 19. That's a really fun show. Mania 17 is a very fun one as well. I think All In 2000 or All Out 2021 was another great example of a great card overall. Yeah, man, it's really hard for me to think of any more beyond that. But those are some of the ones that I think of when I think of like what's a great complete wrestling show from top to bottom. Not a whole lot of like weak spots.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite wrestler's entrance team?
Oh, Gangrel, easily.
Ooh.
Gangrel, the Brood theme, the Ring of Fire, that captivated me in '98 when I first saw that. And it's kind of been my favorite. That and like Dan Severn's theme, I think, is probably my favorite like theme song just by itself. But in terms of his overall entrance and aura, it's gotta be Ganger.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite tag team?
Edge and Christian, like specifically 2000 Edge and Christian, like when they became the multiple time tag team champions, totally reeking of awesomeness, 5 second pose. That team was like everything for me as like a young kid who liked stupid stuff, stupid comedy. They had the stupid comedy down, but they could also wrestle and still be really good characters and have great matches. So like those guys and like Kurt Angle, I think were like the best trio for me in 2000 because they hit all the boxes for me.
That's really, really cool. Before we do your favorite wrestler, I have a question. Do Edge and Christian reunite in AEW before they both retire? And who would you like their final match to be against?
I would love to see Cope and Christian Cage have like a one match as a tag team. I don't know if we'll ever get that. I don't know if they're going to leave that one alone. But if they do come back, gosh, like who would you have them wrestle? Um, that's a tough one. I mean, I would love to see them. go against the Young Bucks, see how they would do with that, or maybe the Lucha Brothers. Um, yeah, I think there's some other tag teams that are escaping me at the moment as far as like what I think a dream contest would be. But one thing at a time. If we do see them reunite, that'd be pretty cool. But I don't know if they're gonna ever do the 5 second pose again. But it was definitely 2000s a magical time for sure.
That's really, really cool, Brian. And then finally, the biggest generic question, in my opinion: who is your favorite overall wrestler?
Man, are we talking all time or current? Because like I got a couple.
Can we have two, all time and current?
Okay, so two all time for me, probably Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. Honestly,
Mm.
two of my favorite, especially rookie Brock Lesnar. Man, that was so fun to watch. Brock he was unlike anything I ever saw before. And the way he kind of burst onto the scene was tremendous. Kurt Angle in a very different sort of sense, but very similar, skyrocketing to the top very early on, just being this total package of wrestling excellence and also sports entertainment excellence, being that kind of goofy character I loved so much. Those probably all time for me. I would put Chris Jericho in an all time favorite as well, just for his overall body of work. As far as like current wrestlers, I like a lot. I think that Willow Nightingale is one of my favorite wrestlers currently. I've been a huge fan of hers since I started working with her in ROH. Danhausen's one of my all-time favorites. As far as current all-time favorites, that's a bit of a juxtaposition, but it's
Mm.
I love the Danhausen character. I was so cool to see that take off and become as popular as it is today. Um, Orange Cassidy is a great one as well. I'm trying to think of other guys like Jacob Fatu is great. I'm so glad to see he's in WWE now, and I wish him the best of luck. Big fan of his. I like man, I was trying to think of some other wrestlers I'm really enjoying right now. Um, yeah, I don't know. I see so many of them. It's hard to tell. But I will say that there's a lot of great up and comers I'm excited to see. Like Timothy Thatcher is one of my favorites as well. And that's kind of a sentimental favorite because he and I had the same rookie year and we actually kind of crossed paths in Portland when we were both coming up. Obviously, he's going to do much greater things in the ring than I ever could. But that's another guy I like to watch. And yeah, it's I I kind of I like I generally like let me put it this way. I don't dislike anyone in wrestling. There's no one who I say, "Oh, I can't stand watching this person. I can't like I hate this guy, whatever, change the channel." I'm not like that. I am generally just kind of like a fan of everything. And I'm willing to, no matter what the story is, I'm generally able to kind of like just get myself in that mode and go along for the ride. So yeah, but as far as the ones that are the ones that make me stand up and pay attention, and the ones that I really like to follow, like Willow Nightingale, like I mentioned, um, Jaden, who is a wrestler here in Oregon. He's another up and comer. I think people should watch out for.
Mm.
Yeah, hard to pin down just one.
I understand what you're saying completely there.